Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is the 5 pillars of mental health. This is a topic that I've gone over quite a few times. It's not a topic that I've pulled from any one particular source. The source is really myself. Is that I've just seen these 5 things independently, done research on them, and of course had some personal experience. So I'd like to share these with you whenever I think it's appropriate to fit into our time of practice. And we've just been last time talking about those times when you feel randomly stressed for no particular reason. Like, I'm feeling stressed right now and I can't put my finger on it. I've done enough body scan or I just know myself well enough that I know what stress feels like in my body. So I can identify that I'm feeling stressed, but then as I look at what it is, as I try to investigate what is the thing that is stressing me out, it's hard to find. And maybe as I investigate, it's not there, or it's a huge conglomeration of things, or I'm burned out, or whatever it is. This was our topic last time, talking about that. And so one of the solutions is to manage the 5 pillars of mental health. The reason I call these the pillars of mental health is because they're relatively easy things to do, don't necessarily require a huge time investment. But if you can pay attention and try to do these 5 things, keep these 5 things under control, then your mental health has no choice but to improve. So, what are they? I'll just talk about them here briefly before I go into each of them. One is of course, mindfulness, meditation. So, meditate daily to continue to cultivate your mindfulness. 2 is eat well. Eat well. I'll just put it at that for now. Number 3 is exercise often. Number 4 is sleep enough. Number 5 is stay hydrated. That's one that I've really, I learned the hard way when I first came here to Singapore, even though that was part of the 5 pillars of mental health that I had come up with when I was living in Hong Kong. I'll talk about it briefly in a moment. And then I added last time a 6th one that I'll share here again, which is maintain control over the psychoactive substances that you take. And that includes caffeine, by the way. So, or at least be aware of psychoactive substances, especially addictive ones, because those have a tendency to, over the long term, alter our moods in a negative way. So as we become dependent on those substances. So, okay. So let's I'll kind of go into these one by one. Mindfulness. What mindfulness really is, mindfulness meditation in particular, is concentration training. So teaching yourself how to stay concentrated, how to become aware when our minds wander away, is an extremely powerful tool, because as we take it, off the mat, off the cushion, into our daily life, out of the gym, so to speak, into our daily lives, we'll see that this ability to be aware of what's going on at any given moment is extremely useful in reducing harm to yourself and to others, because you begin to get that noticing, right? I start to notice when I'm not doing the thing that I want to be doing, or when I start to feel strong emotions and perhaps want to act in a way that's not beneficial to me and those around me, or act in a way that can be harmful harmful to myself. And I think one thing that is really interesting just about mindfulness and getting angry, for example, is that when we get angry at another person and we say that thing that feels so satisfying at the time because of that emotion that we're feeling, when we look back, when we go, in the future, when we look back on that interaction to see, actually, the result of me saying that actually made the situation worse in most ways for myself and for the other person. So I'm not saying, of course, that when something makes you angry that you should stay silent and not do anything. It's just that when those physical symptoms of anger or other emotions, even happiness, right? Sometimes we we do things that aren't helpful for ourselves because we're overjoyed, and we end up doing something as well to potentially make the situation worse. But when we become aware of those emotions, we know that they're happening. It gives us that cue to go to maybe take just an extra pause and go, this thing that I want to say right now, this thing that I want to do right now, is it the most useful? Is it going to help make this situation in my favor or better in general? So just generally speaking, this is how mindfulness helps, and why why I spend so much time here sharing mindfulness with you. That is kind of my specialty, to help us bring awareness to the present moment so that we do less harm to ourselves and others. So the number 2, so that's number 1. The others I'll go through relatively quickly. Is to eat well. Eating well because, you can use, and the reason mindfulness is the pillar is that you can start to see how each one of these affects you. So as I changed my own diet, and started to mess around with, like, should I have less sugars here, affect what eating well means for me, to see how that affects my mood. And sugars is one of those things that really can cause more cycling in our emotions. So would encourage you to just take a look at how your diet, what you eat affects you, and use that mindfulness to notice that. Exercise. Number 3, exercise has a lot of benefits. One, it produces endorphins that counteract a lot of the negative kind of endorphins are kind of like feel-good hormones that keep you in a better mood and can help put you in a better mood. So the endorphins, and as well as just in general, the body being in better condition, will help your mental state as well to feel better. Number 4 is sleep. So getting enough sleep. I think the author's name is Michael Walker. Why We Sleep is a book that he's written. It's quite interesting. Just kind of talks about what sleep does for us, why, how that nobody if you get less than 7 hours of sleep, you are definitely not fully repairing yourself, even though you say, hey, I'm a person who only needs 6 hours of sleep and I'm fine. So sleep is one of those that also, if you don't get enough sleep, one of the things that you can notice is, hey, if I don't get enough sleep, how do I act around the people around me? Can I see the difference in my mood? Can I see how I treat others? Can I see as well how I act towards myself? And mindfulness helps to notice what mood that we're in. And last but not least is hydration. And that's one that I found as I'm here in Singapore. It's really hot here. And I was, when I first arrived, not drinking enough water and realized that I felt sluggish all the time and had a very hard time getting myself to be motivated. So, can you notice these 5 things, right? Am I meditating enough, or am I mindful enough? Am I eating well? Am I exercising enough? Am I sleeping enough? Am I drinking enough water? So, all right. I'm not getting any deeper into the details of this today. If you're interested in more, please write to me and write me a message directly on Insight Timer, or write a message in our group chat, which is Ryan's Daily Mindfulness Circle, and I'm very happy to entertain suggestions for topics in those 2 places. In the meantime, though, this is our mindfulness practice, so let us practice mindfulness. So get comfortable. So what's that mean? Sometimes, we don't know what meditation posture to sit in. Do we need to sit in one with our legs crossed? Do we need to look like a monk while we meditate? And this is not necessary. The most important thing about our posture is that we combine relaxation with alertness. So find a posture that can allow you to be relaxed, yet fully awake, fully alert, fully alive. And so, it's one of the reasons the monks do sit in the postures that you see, is because these postures are conducive for that. So I would encourage you, if you're sitting in a chair, to bring your back away from the backrest, sitting up straight and tall with your own effort, using the muscles in your back and in your abdomen to hold you up straight. Having your knees slightly lower than your hips can also help to relieve any pressure on the muscles in the back. If you like, allowing your eyes to close. And then noticing what it feels like to be breathing. So where do you find the breath? Can you find the breath in your abdomen? And seeing if you can concentrate your attention entirely on the area where you find the breath most apparent. So it could be at the abdomen, it could be at the chest, could be at the nostrils. I tend to find that the abdomen is the easiest place for me to notice myself breathing. So I'm going to just pay attention to how my belly rises and falls with each breath. And as you pay attention to your breathing, what do you notice? Does it seem challenging to keep your attention on the breath? Do you find your mind wanting to wander away constantly, to think about what it is you have to do next, where it is that you've come from, or perhaps other sensations in the body? See if you can let go Each time you notice, your mind will likely get distracted many times while you try to meditate. See if you can notice what it is that brought your attention away. As you gently release it and come back to observing the feeling of breathing. And so if you like, you can keep paying attention to the breath, or you can scan through a few areas of the body just to notice where your tension may be today. And seeing if through awareness of the tension, you can allow it to release. So noticing the face, the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyes, the jaw. Are your teeth clenched? If they are, is it possible to let the teeth of the lower part and your jaw to move away slightly from your upper teeth, keeping your lips closed, breathing through the nose if possible. Just allowing the face to be relaxed as best you can. The shoulders, noticing the shoulders. Noticing the upper back. The lower back. The abdomen. As you breathe, does your abdomen fully expand and contract? Or is there some tension in your abdominal muscles that prohibits that? So now returning our attention entirely to the feeling of breath. And I'll leave the remainder of the meditation around 5 more minutes in silence for you to, as best you can, keep your attention focused on the breath. Okay. I'm going to transition out of our period of practice now, and I'll start by ringing the bell 3 times. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for taking this time to practice with me, to be here for yourself and for each other. How'd it go today? Any questions or comments about today's practice? And I'm going to go ahead and look through the chat. Thanks, Julie. Liz, Frank is, he's somewhere else. He's in the other room. I started feeding Frank at night. So Frank's my cat, by the way, for anyone that is new and has never seen Frank before. Since I've started feeding him at night, he bothers me a lot less, which maybe doesn't make the chat as happy. He does show up sometimes, though, so you can see a special one. Okay, I'm going to look up through the chat. Thanks, Luis. And Danny says, can you explain the REM cycle of sleep and how that plays into the 7 hours that we need? And, as I was saying earlier, I just wanted to get into the meditation. This one is, honestly, I'd have to do a bit more research before I'd be comfortable to tell you a bit more about how everything in sleep works. So would like to make sure that I'm more prepared before telling you a bunch of things that I'm not so sure about right now. So just thought, if you're really interested in how important sleep is, I'm very happy to do a session on that. But I'll make sure that I'm prepared. And John says, it's calming for me to know that I'm breathing okay. Sometimes my breath is short, and thanks, John, for sharing. And I think that's what's interesting about mindfulness is hey, my breath is short. Is that okay? Can I be okay with my breath being short right now? And I think that this is something that we can work with. And everything else. Hey, my forehead's tight right now. Can I be okay with my forehead being tight? Can I be okay? I think one of the issues that some people have with meditation is they think that meditation has to be relaxing. And I'm here to tell you that meditation is not always relaxing, and meditation can feel stressful, and it can cause feelings of stress to increase temporarily while we're trying to do it. And that's normal for that to happen, and that's natural. And if that happens to you, it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. And I think that does cause some people to give up sometimes. They go, oh, I can't do this. I'm supposed to be calm, and I'm not. And just know that you're supposed to be however you are. And I think that's the joy of present moment awareness, is that in the present moment you are how you are, and that's what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is that observation of me as I am now, and being honest with myself. Here's me. This is the me that's here in this moment, and can I welcome? Can I roll out the red carpet? Welcome me. Welcome the me that's here right now. And can I be cool with that, even if it does mean that it's a tense version of me? Because there's so much power in that information of knowing what I'm like in this moment. And as I have taught MBSR, I think one of the most interesting parts of MBSR, and that's mindfulness-based stress reduction, is when we ask participants to observe the stressful situations, but don't do anything differently, right? Like observe when you're feeling stress, but don't act on it. Don't try actively to do anything differently when you notice yourself feeling stressed. And what happens inevitably, and every single MBSR class I've ever taught, is that participants, through their awareness of their stress, automatically make changes in what they would do. So the fact that they notice that they are in a stressful situation and are potentially about to do something that is harmful, that they change their actions, even when they're asked not to try to change their actions. And I think that's very, very interesting and kind of exhibits the true power of mindfulness. So I'm happy if this was a moment of relaxation for you, and I'm happy if it was not as well, if it was just a time for you to practice awareness. Okay, so here Rachel says, listen to Ignatius here on Insight Timer. He's a sleep specialist. Basically, the REM cycle is 90 minutes, and you're meant to have at least 3 every night. So thanks, Rachel, for sharing that. Ignatius Raphael. Awesome. Yeah, and I'll do a little bit more research into sleep as well. I think the science behind sleep is the part that I'm interested in. You can use body scan to help you get to sleep, but to be honest, sleep. And I know a lot of people on Insight Timer a lot of teachers are sleep specialists, or trying to help you get to sleep, and a lot of people use Insight Timer for that. But I'm like, mindfulness is kind of in a different category. So I hope you can, if you want to use my meditations to get to sleep, you can. However, it is not necessarily, it is not the main purpose that I've made those meditations. So yeah, body scan can be and often is very relaxing. All right. Thanks, everybody. What we're going to do is, so the 5 pillars of mental health are to help you in a proactive way, right? So how do I proactively maintain my mental health? So do these: meditate often, eat well, exercise regularly, sleep enough, and be hydrated enough. So if you do these 5 things, it will really help give you a good foundation to be at your best at any point in time, so that you can tackle the full catastrophe of your life. So what happens if you're in a crisis and you're faced with strong emotions and stress and anxiety? Is there anything that I can do in that moment? But I've noticed it, and it's really hard just through my noticing to reduce my stress and anxiety. Are there any tools that we can use to, in the moment, manage stress and anxiety? So that's what we're going to do next time, is talk about breath work. So how can we use breath work in the moment? I'll teach you some very basic breath work kind of things that we can do to manage ourselves in the moment, and use that to help in those really difficult times when we find that our emotions are out of control. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time. But in the meantime, before we go, let us send out our well wishes to ourselves and to each other. So starting with self, you can repeat after me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching, listening, wherever you are right now, I wish you all happiness and peace. And I also send out my well wishes for all of humanity. May all human beings everywhere around the world, big or small, young or old, sick or well, may we all be happy and peaceful. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.